At my baby shower, my mom announced, "I'll be moving in once the baby is born, you have no say." I thought she was joking until she showed up with a suitcase. My husband's response made her instantly regret everything. I should have known something was coming. My mom had always been overbearing, but I never expected this level of insanity. It all started at my baby shower, a beautiful day that my best friend had planned down to the smallest details. Everything was perfect, until my mom decided to make her announcement. She stood up, tapped her glass with a spoon like she was the guest of honor, and with a proud smile she said, "I'll be moving in once the baby is born. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have no say in the matter." Laughter rippled through the room. I laughed too, assuming she was making some sort of weird joke. But then I saw the look on her face. She wasn't joking. I glanced at my husband Noah, who had gone completely still beside me. His jaw clenched, but he said nothing. The room went awkwardly silent for a moment before someone nervously changed the subject. But that night, as we cleaned up the last of the decorations, Noah asked, "She was joking, right?" I shrugged. "She has to be." Spoiler alert, she was not. The suitcase at the door 2 weeks after I gave birth, I was still adjusting to life with a newborn. The sleepless nights, the constant feeding, the recovery, it was all overwhelming, but Noah was amazing. We were figuring it out together, and then one afternoon there was a knock at the door. I opened it, still in my pajamas, holding my fussy baby in one arm, and there she was, my mom, standing on the porch with a suitcase. She smiled like she had just arrived at a 5-star hotel. "Well, aren't you going to invite me in?" I stood there frozen, my brain scrambling to process what I was looking at. "Mom, what are you doing here?" She rolled her eyes, already pushing past me into the house. "I told you, honey, I'm moving in." "Excuse me?" I turned to look at Noah, who had come out of the kitchen. He looked from her suitcase to her smug face and then at me. And then, I swear, something in him snapped. I had never seen him look so calm and so dangerous at the same time. "This isn't happening, Mom." Noah folded his arms. "No, you're not," my mom scoffed. "I don't need your permission. This is my daughter's house." Noah stared at her. "This is our house, and you don't live here." She waved him off like he was an annoying mosquito and turned to me. "Sweetheart, I know you're overwhelmed. You need help. Your mother is here to save the day." I took a deep breath. "Mom, we never talked about this." She frowned like I had just said something ridiculous. "Of course we did. At the baby shower. And besides, I don't need permission to be in my own family's home." Noah let out a humorless laugh. "Oh, I think you do." My mom looked him up and down, clearly annoyed. "Look, I don't know why you're acting like this, but I'm staying. I already had my mail forwarded here. I even changed my driver's license address. This is happening, so you need to accept it." Noah's face went blank. I felt my stomach drop. "You did what?" I asked, my voice shaking. She gave me a condescending smile, as if she was explaining something simple to a toddler. "Honey, I knew you'd be too overwhelmed to handle the logistics, so I took care of it. Don't worry about a thing. Everything is already set up." I turned to Noah, my hands shaking, my pulse racing. My mom had been controlling my whole life, but this was next-level insanity. And that's when my husband decided he was done. Without saying a word, he walked past us, grabbed her suitcase and walked right out the front door. We watched in silence as he carried it down the driveway, popped the trunk of his car and tossed it inside. Then he turned to my mom and said, "Get in. I'm taking you home." I had never seen my mother speechless before, but she wasn't giving up without a fight. "The manipulation begins," she gasped, clutching her chest like a Victorian woman about to faint. "I cannot believe you would treat me this way. After everything I've done for you, I raised you, I sacrificed for you, and this is how you repay me? By throwing me out like garbage?" I sighed. "Mom, you don't live here." She turned on the tears, her voice trembling. "But I'm your mother. You need me. The baby needs me." Noah, who had been silent for most of this, finally lost his patience. "Listen to me. You are not moving in. You were never moving in. You didn't ask, you demanded, you manipulated. And you did it without a single thought about what we wanted. You don't respect boundaries, and that's why you're not welcome here. Now you have 2 choices. Get in the car and let me take you home, or call a cab. Either way, you're leaving today." My mom's mouth fell open. She turned to me. "You're going to let him talk to me like that?" I took a deep breath. I could feel my entire childhood flashing before my eyes. Every guilt trip, every time she steamrolled my decisions, every time she made me feel like I owed her my life just because she was my mother, and then I exhaled. "Yes, I am." Her face turned red. "This is unbelievable. You're choosing him over me?" Noah took a step closer. "She's choosing herself, something you've never let her do before." That's when the mask slipped. Her sweet, manipulative voice dropped into something cold and venomous. "You'll regret this." And just like that, I knew this wasn't over. For a moment, I thought she might actually listen. That maybe, just maybe, she'd swallow her pride, get in the car and leave. I was wrong. Instead, she squared her shoulders, lifted her chin and hissed, "Fine. I'll go, but you'll be begging me to come back." Then she stormed off down the driveway, yanking her suitcase behind her with dramatic flair, like a scorned queen who had just been betrayed. Noah and I stood there watching in silence. He sighed. She's going to cause problems. I nodded, my stomach twisting. I know. But at the time, I didn't realize just how bad those problems were going to get. The call started that night. I barely had time to process what had happened before my phone started blowing up. At first I ignored it. I was exhausted from dealing with her and just wanted to focus on my baby. But when my phone rang for the 5th time in 10 minutes, I finally picked up. "Hello?" A furious voice exploded through the speaker. "What is wrong with you? How could you throw your own mother out like trash?" It was my aunt, my mother's older sister. Before I could even respond, she kept going. She called me in tears. She said, "You and your husband humiliated her and threw her out like a dog." I clenched my jaw. "That's not what happened." "Oh, really?" My aunt's voice dripped with sarcasm. "Then why would she say it?" "Because she's a manipulative, overbearing, boundary-stomping nightmare, that's why." I took a deep breath. "She showed up with a suitcase and tried to move in without our permission. We told her no, that's it." Silence. Then my aunt scoffed. "You're unbelievable. That woman sacrificed everything for you, and you're treating her like she's nothing." I gripped the phone tighter. "I'm not discussing this." "Fine," she snapped. "But don't come crying to me when she's gone and you realize how horrible you've been." Click. I let out a shaky breath and tossed my phone onto the couch. Noah, who had been listening from across the room, raised an eyebrow. "So she's starting a smear campaign?" I nodded. "Looks like it." He sat down next to me, rubbing my back gently. "Are you okay?" I swallowed. "I don't know. Because the thing is, even when you know someone is toxic, it still hurts when they turn on you." The escalation for the next few days, it was like my mother had launched a full-scale attack on my life. She called everyone in the family, aunts, uncles, cousins. Hell, even some of my old childhood neighbors. She told them all the same sob story, that I had thrown her out onto the street, that she had nowhere to go, that I had chosen my husband over my own mother. Suddenly my phone was flooded with messages. Some were supportive, but many were vicious. My cousin Lisa texted, "You're a disgusting human being. She's your mother." A former neighbor messaged, "I always knew you were selfish." But this? Unforgivable. And my uncle, who I hadn't spoken to in years, left a voicemail saying, "I hope your child treats you the way you treat your mother. Then maybe you'll understand." I sat on the couch staring at my phone in disbelief. She's actually trying to ruin my life. Noah took the phone from my hands, scrolled through the messages, and exhaled sharply. "This is next level insane." I laughed bitterly. What did I expect? She's been controlling me my whole life. The second I break free, she loses it. And then, as if the universe decided things weren't bad enough, she showed up again. The ultimatum. It was a Saturday afternoon. Noah was outside working on the lawn, and I was inside feeding the baby. Then, bang bang bang, loud furious knocks at the door. I knew it was her. I stood up, my heart pounding, and opened the door, and there she was. She looked disheveled, her makeup smeared, her eyes red from crying, or maybe from pure rage. Before I could even speak, she pushed past me and stormed inside. "I hope you're happy," she spat. "You've turned the whole family against me." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Are you serious?" She whirled around. "You have two choices, young lady. Either I move in and help raise my grandchild like a good mother should, or I cut you off completely." I blinked. "Excuse me?" She crossed her arms. "If you turn me away again, you're dead to me. You'll have no mother, no support, nothing. And don't think I won't tell your child what an ungrateful daughter you were." Something inside me snapped. I took a deep breath and in the calmest voice I could manage said, "Then I guess I don't have a mother anymore." Her mouth dropped open. "Get out," I said, my voice cold. She stumbled back like I had physically slapped her. "You don't mean that." Noah, who had just come inside, stepped next to me. "She does, and you heard her leave." My mother's face twisted in rage. "You will regret this." And then, for the second time, she stormed out of my house. But this time, something told me she wasn't finished with me yet. For a moment, I actually believed she went for good. I should have known better. The first sign that something was seriously wrong came 2 days later. I was rocking my baby to sleep when Noah walked into the nursery, his face pale. "We have a problem." I frowned. "What?" He handed me his phone. "Check our bank account." Confused, I took his phone and logged in. And then, my stomach dropped. Thousands of dollars were missing. "What the hell?" I gasped, my heart hammering. "Where did all our money go?" Noah's face was tight with anger. "I called the bank. Apparently it was transferred out earlier today. Guess whose name was on the transfer request?" I felt my blood run cold. No way." Noah nodded grimly. "Your mother. She stole from us. How she did it, it didn't take long to figure out how she pulled it off. A few months before I gave birth, she had helped me set up a joint savings account for emergency baby expenses. I hadn't thought much of it at the time. She made it seem like she was just being supportive. I had no idea she kept access to the account, and now she had drained it. I felt sick. "She took our money, Noah. She stole from her own daughter," he corrected. "And I don't think she's done." My hand shook as I dialed her number. She answered after the first ring, her voice infuriatingly calm. "Hello, sweetheart. I was just about to call you." I gritted my teeth. "Where's our money?" She sighed dramatically. Oh, that well, considering how horribly you treated me, I figured you owed me some compensation. Compensation? You stole from us, I snapped. She laughed lightly. Oh, don't be so dramatic. It was MY money too. I helped set up that account, remember? I had every right to it. Noah, who was listening on speaker, spoke up. That was our baby savings, my mother tisked. Maybe you should have thought about that before you threw me out like garbage. I was shaking with rage. Give it back now. She sighed. Oh honey, that money is already gone. My breath caught. What do you mean gone? I mean I used it, she said sweetly. A little vacation, some personal expenses, just enjoying my life. I thought I was going to be sick. You're a monster, I whispered. She laughed. No, sweetheart. I'm just a mother who knows how to get what she deserves. Then she hung up. I stared at the phone in horror. Noah's jaw was clenched so tightly I thought he might break his teeth. We're calling the police, I nodded. And a lawyer. Because if my mother thought she could get away with this, she was about to learn just how wrong she was. The legal battle the next day we went straight to the police. Unfortunately, since my mother had technically been on the account, it wasn't considered theft in the legal sense. But that didn't mean we were out of options. Our lawyer was brilliant. He helped us file a civil lawsuit against her, citing fraud and financial abuse. And then, to make things even worse for her, we went a step further. We cut her off completely. We froze every remaining account she could possibly access. We blocked her on everything. We alerted our entire family that she had stolen from us, making it clear that anyone who sided with her was dead to us. And the best part? She wasn't expecting any of it. The meltdown, it only took a few days for the meltdown to begin. She started with texts. This is a misunderstanding, sweetie. Let's talk. Then calls. You can't do this to me. I'm your mother. And when we ignored all of it, she showed up at our house. Bang, bang, bang. We didn't answer. Bang, bang, bang. I know you're in there. Open this door. We still didn't answer. Then the screaming started. She cursed us out, sobbed dramatically, threatened to call CPS and tell them we were unfit parents. She even threatened to sue us for what, I have no idea. And then, when she realized we weren't going to budge, she did the one thing that proved just how truly insane she was. She called the cops on us. The final play we watched from the window as a police car pulled up in front of our house. My mother ran up to the officers, fake crying as she pointed toward the house. I could only imagine the lies she was spewing. One of the officers came to the door, looking slightly uncomfortable. Ma'am, we got a call about a possible domestic dispute? I sighed. Let me guess. My mother called you? The officer hesitated. She claims you're holding her property hostage. I blinked. Her property? The officer nodded. She says she left valuable items in your home and that you're refusing to return them. I almost laughed. She had nothing here. Noah stepped in. You're welcome to check, officer. She doesn't live here. She never did. The officer looked at my mother, who was still sobbing on the sidewalk. Then back at us. I had a feeling this might be a family dispute, he admitted. We won't get involved in that. Then he turned to my mother and said the most satisfying words I've ever heard. Ma'am, if you don't leave this property immediately, we'll have to charge you with trespassing. Her face. She turned bright red, opened her mouth to argue, and then realized she had lost. For the first time in my life, she had no power over me. And she knew it. For a while it seemed like my mother had finally given up. She went silent. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. It was almost unsettling, like the calm before a storm. But I knew her too well. She wasn't the type to accept defeat. And sure enough, a few months later, she made her last desperate move. She tried to sue us. Yes, you read that right. She filed a lawsuit claiming that since she was my mother and had sacrificed so much for me, she was legally entitled to financial support. She actually thought a judge would force us to pay her after everything she had done. Noah and I were furious, but our lawyer just laughed. This is ridiculous. Don't worry, I'll handle it. And handle it, he did. Courtroom humiliation. When the court date arrived, my mother walked in like she had already won. She wore a fancy dress, her hair perfectly styled, and she acted like the poor abandoned mother who had been so cruelly betrayed by her ungrateful daughter. She gave a tearful speech about how she had given up her whole life for me, how she had nowhere to go after I heartlessly threw her out. She even claimed she had been financially supporting us, which was absolute nonsense. Then, it was our turn. Our lawyer calmly pulled out all the receipts, proof that she stole money from our savings account, text messages where she admitted to taking it, evidence that she had tried to change her address to our home without permission, statements from family members who had turned against her once they realized the truth, and the final nail in her coffin, bank records showing that she had plenty of money, she just wanted ours. The judge was not amused. Mrs. Reynolds, the judge said sternly, this is one of the most absurd cases I have ever seen. Your daughter owes you nothing. In fact, if anyone here is guilty of wrongdoing, it's you. Then in front of the entire courtroom, the judge ripped into her. She had no right to our money. She had no legal claim over our home. She had committed fraud. And just when I thought it couldn't get better, the judge ruled that she had to pay our legal fees. Meaning, she had dragged us to court only to end up losing even more money. Her face turned purple with rage. She tried to argue, but the judge shut her down immediately. Case dismissed. And just like that it was over. The ultimate revenge. After court, my mother tried to reach out again. First, she sent an email. All fake sweetness. I forgive you. Let's put this behind us and rebuild our relationship. I deleted it. Then she tried guilt-tripping me. You'll regret cutting me off when I'm gone. I'll be in my grave one day, and you'll have to live with that. I ignored it. Finally, when she realized I wasn't going to respond, she lost it completely. You ungrateful little brat, you owe me everything. I wish I had never had you. That was the last message I ever got from her. I blocked her on everything, phone, email, social media, and Noah and I did one final thing to make sure she was out of our lives forever. We moved, not just to another house, to another state. We didn't tell anyone where we were going, not even distant relatives. We disappeared. And my mother? She had nothing. She had burned every bridge, lied to too many people, stolen too much. Even the family members who once defended her wanted nothing to do with her. She was finally, completely alone. Happily ever after. Today, I have zero contact with my mother. Noah and I are thriving. Our child is happy and healthy. We built a beautiful life, one free from her control, her manipulation, her toxic presence. Sometimes people ask me if I ever feel guilty. The answer? Not for a second. Because the truth is, she wasn't a mother, she was a parasite, someone who fed off my life, my happiness, my success. And when I finally cut her off, she had nothing left. She lost. And I finally won.
Thank you for watching. Like, share and follow.